Close Calls, Stories of Survival on AgDay is brought to you by AGI. AGI offers complete systems and solutions with industry-leading products to meet your needs. AGI has you covered. To learn more, visit aggrowth.com.
Over the last several decades, hundreds of injuries and deaths have occurred in grain bins across the country due to engulfment. Few farmers realize the hazards from flowing grain, which include entrapment and suffocation. AgDay's Michelle Rook takes a look at some of the hazards as part of our series, Close Calls, Stories of Survival.
A grain bin engulfment can happen in the blink of an eye and cause serious injury or suffocation, resulting in death. Purdue Ag Safety expert Bill Field says flowing grain entrapments fall into four primary categories. The first is engulfment in a flowing column of grain.
Most common is they're in there when the grain's flowing. They're trying to scrape the walls off or break up crusted grain, and they get too close to the center. And that center's moving at about the same volume or capacity as the auger that's emptying the bin. So it only takes a few seconds to get in that flow, and you almost go to the floor.
The second is the collapse of a horizontal crusted grain surface. Now, this happens when grain spoils and forms a crust. Field says it can become so compacted it can be walked on, and farmers often enter the bin to break it up.
When they go in that crusted grain and there's a surface on the grain, and we mentioned that, is that grain surface will become very compact, and you can walk on it and may not realize that there's a void underneath or a hot spot, and that breaks through and ends up getting pulled into the flow of grain and trapped.
The third is the collapse of a vertical crusted grain surface. Now, Field says this is where spoiled or caked grain stands in almost a vertical column. This can also occur inside a bin where spoiled grain is clinging to the bin walls.
Standing there in the middle of a bin, and farmers will go in there and try to break it up from the base. And if it collapses, it often will just bury the farmer.
And the final hazard is entrapment or suffocation in grain transport vehicles. Now, this includes grain carts, wagons, and trucks, and often occurs during the unloading operation.
People have been caught in truckloads of grain while they were trying to break them free. And if the corn or beans or whatever it is wet, it'll seal up overnight and becomes very difficult to empty.
Remember, it only takes 4 or 5 seconds for a farmer who enters a grain bin with the unloader running to be submerged to the point of becoming helpless. And Field says it takes less than 20 seconds to be completely submerged in flowing grain.